It's true that we work with specialists in psychology to help some player out of the training ground or the football for different private reasons. But I think that that is a skill, a skill that in all coaching staff need to have. I think the player need to feel that we are not only coaches or sports science or goalkeeper coach, and that we have the quality too to help them in that important aspect. But my opinion is that not only the doctor is doctor in football, if not the psychologist, is friend, the physio, the sports science, the head of the communication, Jesus that is my assistant manager, the manager. No, football is a very special business.
I had Steve Black, who's quite a well-known. Steve came in at QPR and did a great job. I'd never used one before. I think he'd worked with Steve McLaren before. Steve came in, but no, I found him very interesting guy, useful, very useful. Played a big part in what we were trying to do.
Psychologists weren't at the forefront of the game. They weren't part of that overall team. And in the last maybe 5-10 years, they've become a real positive contribution to the team. So I did employ a sports psychologist. I employed 3 for the different age groups that I worked with. And really, really powerful, actually. I thought that it allowed the players to grow and develop, own their own game, if you like, give them more confidence in what they were doing. And it really enhanced the team dynamic. I mean, you've got so many different personalities, and by the nature of that, not everybody necessarily is going to get on. And the psychologist really kind of pulled people together and worked on those, you know, the imagery and all of those, the controllables, all of those things that are actually quite important to playing the game at the highest level.
I've used a sports psychologist at all the clubs that I've managed, and I think most individuals, most managers, clubs, they can use them in different ways, and whether that's one-to-one sessions with the players. I mean, I've tended to use them more about trying to get a culture amongst the players, a togetherness amongst the players. And one important aspect, which I think has worked quite well wherever I've been, is what they would want from the manager. And there is no doubt that it's easier to have a good culture, a good change room, a good feel when things are going well. There's no doubt about that.
I think when I was a young coach, I would have very focused much on the sports psychology. But when you work in football and you're working with players between 16 and 35, it's not just solely about an imagery, and which is based around sports psychology. Sometimes there's a clinical issue with players, which requires a psychological approach.